Stephen Lerner also outlined the strategy to an eager audience. Good thing for us, he never shuts up. On September 10th, 2011, exactly 1 week before Occupy Wall Street began, here's what he said.
And I know in Seattle, in LA, in San Francisco, in Chicago, in New York, in Boston, we've got some stuff in Boston, in New York that's going to really be spectacular.
Wait a minute, this is spontaneous. How does he know that he's got some things planned in Boston and New York that's really going to be spectacular? Who's this we of which you speak? So, organized by students? Nope. Unions deeply involved in planning? Yep. 60s radicals and revolutionaries? Well, Stephen Lerner. You know what I'm saying there? No? You should look into Stephen Lerner. Now, people have said that I'm delusional about talking about Occupy Wall Street and their union ties. In fact, that's what Geraldo Rivera said on Fox News just a couple of weeks ago. But here are the facts. Watch.
This is about building and creating power. We're not going to convince the other side that we're right through intellectual argument. We need to create power, and in a way, we need to talk about how we create a crisis for the super rich.
Mission accomplished, Steve. There seems to be a bit of a crisis brewing. I mean, we are hearing now occupiers talk about eating and killing the rich. We'll get into that later. That actually isn't even on the board yet about how peaceful they are. I charge they're violent. But Stephen Lerner hasn't done all of this alone. During the SEIU Janitors for Justice campaign in Houston in 2006, he had a partner. See, this is where SEIU organized the strike of the city's janitors in Houston. And during the strike, they learned how to create a crisis. They would dump garbage in Houston's busiest intersection to cause chaos. Well, Lerner teamed up with a fellow organizer, a radical, Lisa Fithian. Here's Lisa. Ever seen her before? I didn't know who she was. She's quite famous in the radical world. During the 1999 World Trade Organization talks in Seattle, this is her work. Here she is on video, proudly listing some of the cities in which she's organized. Remember, organized Occupy movements. Here she is. Watch.
We've done actions in Seattle. San Francisco. Boston. LA. And this week, Chicago. New York. Minneapolis. Next week, Denver. Honolulu. St. Louis is throwing down too.
And St. Louis is going down too. That's an interesting choice of words. Now, she's organizing these Wall Street protests in all these other cities. So that, again, I'd have to say a big negatorian organized by the students. Unions deeply involved in, I'd have to say, yeah, there again, she's with SEIU, or was. Now she no longer is. But who is she? Well, I'd have to say she's a 1960s radical. How committed, how radical is Lisa? Well, with this answer, I'll back up my claim that they are recreating the 1960s, specifically 1968, and the riots that happened back in 1968. Remember, you're crazy for saying that. This weekend, I read two books that are in my library. This one, The Roots of American Communism. This is from 1956. I found something in here from 1922, a speech from union organizers in 1922 that will boggle your mind, especially if you're a police officer. And then this one. This is an original copy of Abby Hoffman's Steal This Book. This book I actually looked at this weekend. This is actually from an old 60s radical that had this and carried it with him for quite some time, I think. This is an interesting book because in this book, it talks about how you can steal things, how you can roll a joint. That's great. But also, there's really, really good things in here on how to build a bomb. There's even schematics in here on on how to trash things. I got the joint thing again. I can't find the bomb making. But how they make Molotov cocktails and all kinds of great things. Well, let me get back to Lisa. Her hero is Abbie Hoffman. Now, in case you're not up on your radicals, Hoffman, co-founder of the Youth International Party, the Yippies. He was arrested and tried as one of the Chicago 8, the ones that incited violent riots at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Anyway, Hoffman wrote this book, Steal This Book, a guide for activists, includes how to make bombs. You'll never guess. Back to Lisa. Lisa Fithian. She's the one now coordinating Occupy Wall Street. Steal This Book, a new version. Lisa wrote the dedication for the new version. Oh, you're going to love this. It's a love letter to her hero, Abbie Hoffman. Dear Abbie, the world is crazy as ever. We need you, man. Your spirit is alive and well, but your thoughts, we have to settle for your words. By the way, this was written the month after September 11th. She wrote this when we were mourning. She wrote this. Now, Lisa's been under the radar, mainly because people think protests, are organized by hippie losers, and you'd be right. But has she been around? Have you ever seen her work before? Well, I told you about the Occupy Seattle, but you've also seen her work in Texas. Do you remember Cindy Sheehan? Oh, Cindy Sheehan, the media, she's just a mom, you know. That's all Cindy Sheehan is. She's just a mom. Yeah. Lisa was the organizer for Cindy Sheehan's campaign. Oh, also, she was on the Gaza flotilla and even acted as a human shield for Palestinians. She also advises SDS, the socialist group, Students for a Democratic Society, and of course, she's currently coordinating the Occupy Wall Street movement all across the country. Now, the biggest news organizations in America can't put this one together. Yet, a place called GBTV has done some investigating into this. Here's their report.
Fithian herself is quoted as saying, "When people ask me, what do? I say, I create crisis, because crisis is that edge where change is possible."
ABC News can't do that. Fox doesn't even do that. But GBTV does? That's a problem with the media, isn't it? This movement has been so orchestrated by the unions and the radicals that they even now are specifying who's going to be arrested. They use this term called arrestables. They apply it to people who have been predetermined to be arrested because they have the right look and the right message for being taken away by police in front of TV cameras. Watch.
Here, you can see union organizers discussing whether or not this man will be arrested later in the protest.
He's not being arrested. He's not on the list.
That's really weird. Did you notice that was a teachers' union? Who was it that said the teachers' union would do this? AstroTurf arrests. Let me give you a couple more of Lisa Fithian's other thoughts, because she is important. Nonviolence is a strategy. Civil disobedience is a tactic. Direct action is a strategy. Throwing rocks is a tactic. I guess my biggest thing is that as a people who are trying to create a new world, wait a minute, what is this? That as a people who are trying to create a new world, I do believe we have to dismantle or transform the old order to do that. There's that word transform again. Transform the old world. Dismantle, remember this, have to dismantle or transform the old order to do that. Now, just to give you a little more insight in who she is and what she's about, here she is at an anti-Israel rally that she organized. Watch.
Resistance is justified when people are occupied. Resistance is justified when people are occupied.
That's quite a snappy number there. I love these communist protesters. It's interesting, however, that they feel this way, that what is it? Resistance is justified when people are occupied. Since these guys are occupying the streets of Chicago, LA, and DC, several other cities, occupied, you would think that they would obviously feel the police would be justified to come in and remove the occupiers. No. No. Because the occupiers, they're not Jewish. See? And I think that's where it all breaks down. If you're Jewish, then you can resist by blowing yourself up, of course, in a synagogue or something like that. Because that's the beginnings of an anti-Jewish movement. That's always important because it is always part of revolutionary and radical and communist thought. But is it only SEIU and their former employees that are doing this? See, I charge that it's unions, not SEIU. I say it's unions. Here's AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka. Watch.
We support the protesters in their determination to hold Wall Street accountable and create good jobs. We're proud that today on Wall Street, bus drivers, painters, nurses, and utility workers are joining students, homeowners, the unemployed, and the underemployed to call for fundamental change.
I want you to know, I'm for fundamental change too. I'm for hope, I'm for change. I'm for an end of corruption. I'm for honesty and truth and the end of corruption. I want it. I believe you do too. We all do. But they keep using that fundamental transformation, the fundamental change that our founders established. What was it she said? That they wanted to go ahead and destroy. They had to, what was it, destroy to be able to change, something like that? I'll find that because we're starting to see a pattern here, because the collapse, the transformation of capitalism and the big money involved and the George Soros thing all kind of begin to merge together. These are my charges. We backing them up with facts. Let me show you this from the Working Families Party. Working Families Party, you remember these guys from, Joel Rogers is the head of the Working Families Party. He started in the 90s as a movement against the Democratic Party to wipe out the Democrats and then take over the world, or something like that. Here they are, October 12th, 2011. Over the past few weeks, we've seen something unusual and promising, a gathering of people, mostly young, a lot like the old Tea Party people, mostly young, who are protesting the corporate power and coarse inequality that characterize our society and economy. For weeks, these inspired and inspiring young people, young, not like the old Tea Party people, under the banner of Occupy Wall Street, have occupied our attention and camped out in Liberty Plaza. Okay, they've captured their attention. It's weird. It's weird. They stand with them, but it's really far too modest to say they simply stand with them. This one is October 12th. Let's go back into the Glenn Beck time machine, where you can find this scrubbed from the internet. On October 26th, the Working Families Party took out, September 26th, they took out this ad on Craigslist. It's a way for you to make money. The Working Families Party will pay protesters willing to take to the streets for change in New York up to $650 a week. Well, that's weird, because just a few weeks later they say, hey, we've just noticed these guys and we're captivated by this spirit. Wow. One of the protesters was interviewed at Occupy Wall Street on October 5th. Watch.
Are you some kind of trained organizer, activist, done this your whole life?
For the last couple of years, I've been working with the Working Families Party as an organizer.
You should see that whole video. It's fascinating. There she is, Working Families Party. From there, she went on to speak at Van Jones' Take Back the American Dream conference. Watch.
Joined the Working Families Party because I agreed with what they were fighting for. And then, a couple of months ago, I heard about this occupation. I went down there, and I didn't realize that it was going to change my life.
So spontaneous. The deeper you go into this, the worse it gets. Okay, so we have Van Jones now, kind of on the periphery. That's interesting. And the radicals from Code Pink. Now remember, oh, here's the Code Pink people. Let us go to Gaza, please. Code Pink.